This is an All Ears English podcast, episode 933, How to Be Vague in English. Welcome to the All Ears English podcast. Downloaded more than 50 million times, we believe in connection, not perfection. With your American hosts, Lindsay McMahon, the English adventurer, and Michelle Kaplan, the New York radio girl, coming to you from Boston and New York City, USA. And to get your transcripts delivered by email every week, go to allearsenglish.com/subscribe.
Do you ever want to be vague and not give all of the details in English? Today, let's get supernatural with our English and learn some new phrases to be vague. Hey, Lindsay, how's it going?
Excellent, Michelle. How are you doing?
I'm good. So, it's almost getting ready for the weekend. What are you doing this weekend, Lindsay?
Oh my gosh, this weekend I'm getting all the odds and ends ready for our trip to Japan, but by the time that this episode goes live, it'll be way in the past. But yeah, no, I'm just getting ready. I think I might do a little hiking, might visit a brewery, kind of typical stuff for me, right? So
Yeah. I'm thinking I might meet some friends, go into the city and whatnot. I'm not exactly sure.
Awesome. What are you thinking about doing in New York, in the city? What are you thinking?
I don't know. Maybe trying out a new restaurant, or something like that. So we'll see. But I'm not really sure yet. But, I don't know if our listeners heard this, but when I was talking about what I was doing on my weekend, I said, and whatnot.
Oh, and whatnot. You did say that. That sounded so natural.
You didn't even notice, did you? Just joking.
I didn't.
I just slipped it right in, and you didn't even hear it, right? Because it sounded so natural.
Yeah, this is going to be a great episode today, Michelle. I'm excited. We're going to give our listeners something that is so natural and so native,
right?
And that they'll never find in a textbook.
Right, exactly. But before we do that, Lindsay, I think we'd like to say thank you to some very special people.
Absolutely. Some very special reviewers, our listeners. Guys, we now have our iOS app live, and this spring we are going to be developing some new features to make this app amazing. But in the meantime, we need your support. So these reviews help us so much. So I want to call out the people who have reviewed our iOS app. If you haven't downloaded the app yet, go to allearsenglish.com/bonuses, download it, and leave a review. But for now, thank you to Anya Good 13, RO1223163, Julie from Taiwan, Ohagyanan, and Chriskius from New Zealand, Kata Flower Floor from United States, and those are our reviewers. Thank you so much, guys. And I know that one of these guys, our reviewers, left a question in his review. You can do that too, guys. That is a good option. Ask your question right here in the review store, and we'll be sure to answer that question when we can, guys, on the show.
Awesome. Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, awesome. Let's keep going. So what are we getting into today, Michelle?
Well, speaking of listeners asking us questions, we have a great question today from Fabrice, who came on the Boston adventure in October, right, Lindsay?
Yeah, Fabrice is one of our longtime listeners, and he came to Boston in October, saw some real improvement, and now he is back in Chicago and hearing real native English, picking up on it and asking really good questions. So thank you, Fabrice.
Right. Okay, perfect. Okay, so Lindsay, could you read that question?
Absolutely. So here is Fabrice's question. So he said, I noticed that a lot of people add and whatnot at the end of sentences, like I was hanging out at home and whatnot. I think that I know what it means, but it's a little bit difficult for me to use. Could you throw a few examples of how and when to use it? I hope that a lot of students will enroll for the next Boston and New York City adventures. It's such an amazing program. Oh, thank you, Fabrice.
Thank you.
And then he says, keep up the good work and good luck in Japan. It's an amazing project. Listening to your podcast every day makes me happy and improve my English so much. I'm so grateful. Oh, awesome.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
That's so great. That's so great. Yeah, guys, if you haven't signed up yet, if you haven't applied yet for the Urban Adventure, the Immersion Adventures this summer, you want to go right now to allearsenglish.com/immersion and put in your application. That's going to be so fun, Michelle, especially, well, we have 2 options this year. We have New York and Boston, and both are going to be different, but they're going to be amazing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I can't wait to show our listeners around New York and give them a real local taste of the city.
Oh my God. This is you guys can't find this anywhere else. It's a really special program. So definitely go to allearsenglish.com/immersion and get it. Okay. All right. So how can we answer Fabrice's question today?
Well, it is a great question. And whatnot. I mean, do you ever say that, Lindsay?
You know what? Personally, in my vocabulary, it's not very solidified. And that's just because, like we say on this show all the time, we have our personal vocabulary preferences, right? I don't use it much. Do you?
I don't use it much either, actually. But obviously I know it. And like, it's not when I said it where you like, oh, why did you say and whatnot? That sounded weird.
Right. Actually, I didn't even hear you say it, to be honest, but I didn't even notice that you said it, but
I think that's because it didn't even, I think it's just that it doesn't stand out to you because it's so natural. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's true, but I think if our listeners could add this to their repertoire, it could really make them closer to native speakers and connect better.
I think so too. Like, I just think it's very natural sounding. So, always, it's a choice. Do you want to make it part of your vocabulary or not? And you can always listen to see if other people are saying it, and whatnot. Okay. But, it's a good little phrase to know, I think.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. So let's jump into it. So what does and whatnot mean when you hear it? What does that sound like to you?
I think it just means and more, and so we're saying that the more thing is similar to what we've already said,
Right.
like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. Exactly. So like, for example, like, oh my gosh, Lindsay, I ate so much junk food at the party, chips, dip, cookies and whatnot. Oh, right.
Yeah. Exactly. No, that's perfect. Because we're saying that whatnot means more of the same, more of what we've said, chips, dip, cookies, right?
Right. I mean, and I do think that in some ways it could also just be maybe like a little bit vague in a way as well. Like it could mean something similar, but now that I'm thinking about it again, like revisiting this topic, I'm thinking that it could also just be like, oh, and whatever. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it could also be just like, oh, I'm going to do this and whatnot. Like when I was talking about the city, I'm like, oh, being kind of vague.
Right. I agree with you. So it doesn't always have to mean you're saying more of exactly what you've just said.
Right. I mean, because originally I was thinking that's what it is, but I think it could also be used in another way. And if that sounds right to you, Lindsay, I think
that sounds good to me. Yeah.
Okay, good. So, like we said, for examples about this one about, what you ate at the party, but also, oh yeah, I'm going to go into the city, hang around, blah, 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 and whatnot, like perhaps being a little bit vague. Maybe I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but it still means like, oh, do things in the city, similar types of things, right? So I think that's kind of like the overall meaning.
Yeah, I would agree.
Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat.
A frog in your throat.
Okay.
That's a weird expression, huh?
Yeah. I couldn't think of any other way to describe it. It basically means when you need to clear your throat. Okay, awesome. Okay, so I mean, and would you say that this saying and whatnot has like a more formal or informal feel to it?
I would say it's informal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty conversational. I mean, you could certainly use it in a formal space, but generally when you're having these kinds of conversations, when you're being vague, you're not like making a fancy presentation. You're just commenting on what you're doing or, what you're eating. So the situations are going to be informal.
Right. Exactly.
Guys, there's a new and very cool way to listen to All Ears English inside the iOS app at allearsenglish.com/ bonuses. When you listen inside the app, you also get special limited time videos where we take you around our cities, Boston, New York, and Portland, and we teach you things in just 1 to 2 minutes per video. Go over to allearsenglish.com/bonuses so you don't miss any of these awesome videos coming up this week. Thanks, guys.
So yeah, I would agree with that. I would say that it's mostly informal, more conversational, because it is a little bit like, I feel like if you're in a presentation or something, you want to be more specific. You're not going to say and whatnot, right? You're going to just be more specific and concise.
Exactly. It's like when you don't want to give all the details and just, specific details, you can just say whatnot and whatnot and whatnot. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's and whatnot. So I wanted to give out, a couple, other terms that could be used in a similar way. Sound good, Lindsay?
Yeah, I like that idea.
All right. So the first one is etc.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if we've talked about etc. before. I don't know.
I don't think we have. I don't think we've done an episode on this yet. So this is good. We're giving our listeners lots of options, guys. So, you don't have to do them all. Just choose one and start using it and start listening for it. But etc. is used in writing and speaking, isn't it?
Yeah, in writing, how do you write it?
Well, I write it. I don't know how you do, but I write ETC period.
Me too.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Me too, Lindsay. We write it the same way. It's very exciting. You could write it out. I guess maybe in like more formal writing, you would actually write it out. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think in formal writing, you wouldn't even use
That's
it because
a good point.
Yeah, like I would never use it in like a written academic paper. That would be ridiculous. If you turn in an academic paper with like citations and details, you're building an argument and you say etc., you're going to get a really low score on that because the professor wants to know what those details are. That's the whole point of good writing, right?
Right. Right. Exactly. That's what I would say as well. But for speaking, would you say this is formal or informal? I mean, just in your opinion.
Yeah, also informal.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And then have you ever heard, I mean, it's hard to say, but sometimes I feel like people say it 3 times in a row, like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It takes some time to say. But if you want to emphasize and have fun with it, I mean, do we have an example for our listeners here?
Yeah, sure. So like, okay, we went to the store today. Ugh, I feel like I'll go there every Monday, Tuesday, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It never ends.
Yeah, that's how I feel sometimes when I'm finishing up work at the end of the day and I want to get to the gym and then more work comes in and it just never ends. Work, this and that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. More things to do, right?
Right. Exactly. And so what does et cetera mean? I mean, it's also just like, it's a little bit different than whatnot, but it's also just like, and more. So in a way, actually, it is very similar.
Yeah, I guess it just means and more, right? It might be Latin. Is it Latin? Or I'm not sure.
It seems like it could be.
Yeah, we don't know, guys, so we're not going to say that for sure. But it just means more and more, similar to whatnot and whatnot, right?
Right. So, I mean, that it could be, I mean, or you could just say it once, like, I have to do this, etc. It's just like, yeah. So exactly. So, and the important thing, so again, just the pronunciation on that is et cetera. But when you say it fast, it comes out et cetera, because sometimes I hear people say et cetera.
I used to think when I was younger that that's what it was. Like until 5 minutes ago. No, just kidding. No, like when I don't know, when I was a teenager or something, I used to think it was etc. like with an X.
Yeah.
But then I realized it's et cetera.
I think a lot of people mispronounce it. I'm not sure. Yeah. Like I'm talking about native speakers. Like I feel like I hear et cetera a lot.
Yeah. Probably.
And I just want to say I'm just looking up in the dictionary and it does say the meaning is, and other similar things. And it says, this is interesting, it is used to avoid giving a complete list.
Yeah, so if you want to be vague, if you're strategically trying to be vague, right? Or if you don't really know all the details,
Right.
Right. It's a good
right.
way to brush over the fact that you don't know the details. You're just giving these broad brush ideas like, oh, we're doing X and Y, Z, and it's we're going to the park and the store, et cetera, right?
Right. Whereas, just to jump back to whatnot for a second, in the dictionary, it says any of various other things that might also be mentioned. So, very similar meanings there.
And I want to mention a quick pitfall because I think I just said this accidentally, but guys, watch out for this because if we look at these two words and whatnot, and then the phrase etc., we say and whatnot, but we don't say and etc. We just say etc. We say the park, the gym, the store, etc. We don't put and before. That is a pitfall I think we might fall into.
Good point, Lindsay. Thanks for pointing that out.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. And then the last one, we have also two similar phrases. One is and the like, and one is and so on.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not sure why I thought of these two, but
these are good.
Yeah. So, I mean, I personally, I don't say like and the like. Do you say any of these, Lindsay?
No. Well, I don't say and the like. I might say and so on, and I know and then to make this a little more complicated for our listeners here. No, guys, give you options here, right? If you're at a high level, I remember my mom used to say a lot and so on and so forth. Do you ever use that, or have you heard that?
I've heard it, but I feel like I more so would hear and so on.
Yeah, maybe that's like out of style or something. But this is cool. I mean, we're getting lots of options, lots of ways to be vague, really.
Right. So like for this one, you could say, oh, this project focuses on our current sales. How can we improve sales, increase marketing, and the like? Or you could say, and so on.
Okay. Yeah. So and the like sounds great. I mean, it sounds smart to me. I don't hear it much. Maybe I'm just not around people that use it very much. I don't know. I don't personally use it myself.
No, it sounds a little bit formal to me. Yeah, I don't use it either, but I hear it. I hear it sometimes, but in it sounds a little bit more formal to me.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. So should we give this a try in a little role play?
Sure, why not?
All right. So in this role play, we are planning for New York, which I'm so excited about.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be so cool. Oh my gosh. I have the feeling this year is just going to be the first of many that we'll offer this program in New York. I mean, the chance to see New York like a local, right, is something that our listeners don't get much of a chance to do outside of this program.
Yeah. I was on the bus back from Washington the other day, and I saw somebody reading like a New York guidebook, and it was clearly like, they were like really studying it, like, probably their first time, which of course I don't blame them when I travel anywhere. I also like to get a taste, but I was thinking like, they're probably going to go to a lot of these tourist sites, and that's great. Especially, I mean, it's not that you shouldn't go to these sites, but I was just thinking like, oh, I hope that maybe they have a friend there who can show them some more local things so they can get a real flavor of the city. And guys, that's what you'll be getting, in the summer.
Exactly. I mean, and also if that person is from another place and maybe they want to practice their English, they're not really going to speak real deep English. They're going to speak superficial English, just with the waiter, the waitress. They're not going to get a chance probably to get into deeper conversations with native speakers. And that's the other cool thing that our students this summer are going to do. So guys, if this is interesting to you, I want to remind you again, go to aldersenglish.com/immersion and apply now because applications are going to start coming in heavily. So just get in your application. Awesome.
Okay. Can't wait to see you there. Okay.
Cool.
But back to it, the role play. Okay. So in this role play, Lindsay and I are planning for New York. So do you want to get started, Lindsay?
I do.
All right.
Okay. So what should we do on the first night?
Ooh, I think it would be great to meet everyone, introduce ourselves, get to know each other and whatnot.
That sounds great. We can do some icebreakers and a fun quiz and so on.
Definitely. Then the next morning we can meet and get some coffee, tea, bagels, etc., etc., etc.
Sounds perfect.
Okay. Okay, so this is a little bit much, right?
Right.
Guys, I don't think that, more, usually you would spread these things out a little bit more, but, I wanted to give you a flavor of what we've worked on today.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like normally just maybe one person would use one of these vague phrases once in a conversation.
Right. But why not?
Very often. That's okay.
Right. Why not? For the sake of example. So, first we said, introduce each other, get to know each other and whatnot, right? And what was the next thing, Lindsay?
Yeah. So I said we can do some icebreakers and a fun quiz and so on.
Great. And then I said, oh, the next morning we can get some coffee, tea, bagels, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Awesome. Very vague. So clearly we need to do more planning to be.
Yeah. We're still planning. So, anyway, guys, but, so that was a great question. Any other thoughts, Lindsay? Any takeaways?
No, I think, think about what the point is today, guys. I mean, the takeaway today is this is how you can be vague if in a number of situations, if you don't have details yet, but you want to say something, or if you don't want to reveal details, right?
Or, Or if you just want to like list a bunch of things, like you're listing fruits that you're going to buy, but you don't feel like saying all of them.
Exactly. So I feel like this is a really useful and versatile skill to have at least one of these phrases, guys, in your back pocket. So start listening for this when you're around natives and then start implementing one or two of them.
Yeah. Definitely. Listen around, see what you hear. And yeah, this would be good. And this was a really great question. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, thanks, Fabrice, for that question. And we love your really good questions, guys, when you're really listening in on native English and you come up with an awesome question like this. So if you have a question, send it to lindsay@allearsenglish.com, or even better, leave it in your review for our iOS app at allearsenglish.com/bonuses. Cool.
All right. Well, this has been awesome. Thanks for hanging out, Lindsay.
Sounds good. Talk to you soon, Michelle.
All right. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to All Ears English. And if you need a 7 or higher on your IELTS exam to achieve your life vision, then our Insider Method can get you there. Start with our free video series masterclass. Get video 1 now at allearsenglish.com/INSIDER. And if you believe in connection, not perfection, then subscribe to our show on your phone or on your computer. See you next time.